ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय। हरे कृष्णा। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथं वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सवधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्ता कंचन गौरांगे राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। पंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं हयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुन् दीनतारिणम्। हरे कृष्णा। So welcome back to our English Bhakti Sastri, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This is the unit 2. So now we will start with the chapter 9 of the Bhagavad Gita as it is, purport by Srila Prabhupada, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. So just to flashback again, our last discussion toward the end of chapter 8, Krishna explains to Arjuna knowledge about him. And Krishna actually compared the different method of achieving perfection. Yeah, the different method of achieving perfection, such as some yogis try to live their body according to their own desire, and they can choose actually when they want to die, when they want to give up their body. Yeah, and ultimately, Krishna, and of course supported by Srila Prabhupada's purport, explaining that the easiest and the surest process to achieve perfection is devotional service. So, chapter 9 entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge, or in Sanskrit, this chapter is called the Rajaguhyam Yoga. Rajaguhya Yoga. So that knowledge is very confidential. And in fact, actually, chapter 9 has a lot of similarities in content. Chapter 9 has a lot of similarities with chapter 7. Yeah. So how is it? We will analyze today. Hare Krishna. So chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge. In the 8th chapter, Krishna has explained that the Ananya devotee surpasses both the paths of light and darkness. Now Krishna will explain how to become such an Ananya devotee. The first step is hearing about Krishna. Now, if you remember, in the beginning of chapter 7, Krishna explained to Arjuna, Tat Trinu, yeah, Maya Sakta Mana Aparta. How to attach our mind to Krishna is by Tat Trinu. Now please hear from me, Krishna says to Arjuna. So by hearing, we can attach our mind to Krishna. So also, in the beginning of this chapter, same thing is being described by Lord Krishna. Yeah, how to become the Ananya devotee. Ananya means unalloyed, pure devotee. How to become pure devotee? The first step is that by hearing about Krishna. So the theme, if you still remember, in the chapter 7, Srila Prabhupada, in his purport, emphasizing so much from one purport to another purport about devotees association, yeah, associating ourselves with Krishna's devotee. And in chapter 7, Srila Prabhupada extensively explaining about the importance of the chanting. And then in this chapter, how to become Ananya devotee is by hearing Sravana. Yeah. So that's actually the essence of devotees association, Sravanam and Kirtanam. Yeah. So chapter 7, 8, 9 will be a lot of nectar. Yeah, a lot of nectar. Okay. So here, between chapter 7 and chapter 9, there are so many similarities. So we will analyze. The first is that the relationship between Krishna and material nature. That's explained in the chapter 7, how Krishna's relationship with the material nature, yet he is independent, although he is the creator, and yet he never separated from his creation. And then Krishna's potency manifested within matter. That verse explaining about Krishna's potency within matter. And then demigod worship versus Krishna worship, also explained in the 7th chapter. Impersonalist knowledge of Krishna versus devotees' knowledge of him. This is clearly explained toward the end of 7th chapter also. And then we may ask a question, why the 9th chapter is entitled the most confidential knowledge? Why not the 7th chapter? So Srila Prabhupada explained to the first, to his purport in the first verse of this chapter. Yeah, we jump over a little bit. The very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter, is more or less an introduction to the rest of the book. And in the 2nd and the 3rd chapters, the spiritual knowledge described is called confidential. So chapter 2, the Sankhya Yoga, is confidential knowledge, because not everybody understands, not everybody is realizing that he's the spirit soul. Yeah. So the theme of chapter 2 is actually to establish the Atma Tattva Gyan. Yeah. So that's confidential. And then topic discussed in the 7th and 8th chapters are specifically related to devotional service. And because they bring enlightenment in Krishna consciousness, they are called more confidential. Okay. So there is confidential and then more confidential. And then on top of that, there is most confidential, and that is the chapter 9. But the matters which are described in the 9th chapter deal with unalloyed, pure devotion. Therefore, this is called the most confidential. One who is situated in the most confidential knowledge of Krishna is naturally transcendental. He therefore has no material pangs, although he is in the material world. Yeah, so this is the art actually. This is the art. How to avoid of getting wet amidst heavy rains. So by taking umbrella or by taking shelter under some building. Yeah. So similarly, while in the material world, Krishna explained in the 8th chapter, yeah, mam upetya punar janma dukaya masasvatam napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gatam. So dukaya masasvatam. The material world is full of miseries. Dukayam, asashvatam, and all are temporary. We want to live in this body forever, but it's impossible. And full of miseries. Yeah. But the art of Krishna consciousness is that how to become transcendental and not being affected by the material miseries while living in the material world. That will be discussed in this chapter. So, chapter 9, most confidential knowledge. These are 3 parts of discussion today. Hopefully, we can cover. First, the first one is that from text number 1 to 3, hearing about Krishna, and Krishna will explain what is the qualification of hearing, and then what is the disqualification. So there is qualification and then disqualification. And then 4 to 10, Krishna's inconceivable relationship with the material world. Yeah, this part may seems to be a bit bewildering because there are a lot of philosophical aspects saying that Krishna creates the material world, he maintains and he annihilates but yet at the same time he's remained aloof. So how he maintains the material world if he remain aloof? From our own perspective, that's impossible. If you maintain something, you have to involve. Yeah, but Krishna remained aloof. So that will be discussed in this part of discussion. And then from text number 11 to 19, non-worshippers and worshippers. So let's start from the first verse of chapter 9. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Idam tute guhyatamam pravakshamyana suyave jnanam vijnanam sahitam yadyatva mokshasheshvat. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjun, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of to be relieved of the miseries of the material existence." So here, Krishna clearly mentioned anashuyave. Anashuyave means not envious. This is the qualification of while hearing about Krishna. If we envious to the speaker, if we envious to the statement in the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, then there is no gain of that hearing. We simply waste our time. Just like the Mayavadi, they're putting so much effort to put some commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, but because they envious of Krishna. Envious of Krishna means does not accept what Krishna says. This is envious. So what is the mentality of envious person? Full of hatred within his heart, full of hatred, and try to, envious means the symptoms of envious is that you cannot see another person being happy. You cannot see another person being glorified. You cannot tolerate somebody's glories. We immediately want to pull down his leg and pose ourselves in the higher position. Just like the Mayavadi, the envious of God. What is the proof? The proof is that they want to be God. They want to be God. This is the proof of their being envious. But nobody except Krishna can become God. Yeah. The Supreme God. We are talking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah. Nobody but Krishna. And they don't like to hear Krishna's beauty. And ultimately they conclude that God has no form. So this is absolutely envious. Yeah. So the qualification while hearing is that, or while studying the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, is non-envious. Non-envious. Because when we are envious, we cannot accept, we cannot receive that knowledge imparted by the authority. Because we want to be heard only. We don't want to listen. This is also envious, being selfish. Yeah. Anasuya, to be non-envious. Okay, to the non-envious. Srila Prabhupada's purport: as a devotee hears more and more about the Supreme Lord, he becomes enlightened. This hearing process is recommended in Srimad Bhagavatam. The messages of the personality of Godhead are full of potencies, and these potencies can be realized if topics regarding the Supreme Godhead are discussed amongst devotees. This cannot be achieved by the association of mental speculators or academic scholars, for it is realized knowledge. Yeah, so the Srimad Bhagavatam clearly explained that while hearing, we should be very submissive, and we should hear in the devotees association. Yeah, this is called the Satam Prasangam. Satam Prasangam means association with the sadhu. Satam Prasangam. Sat, Sat. There is Asat and there is Sat. Sat means actually eternal. So Satam Prasangam means the devotees association. Satam Prasangam. Mama Virya Samvido. Bhavan Tigrit Karna Rasayana Katha. Tajo Sadan Ashwa Pawar Gawat Mani Sradha Rathir Bhaktir Anukramishyati. So this is taking place only in the association of devotees. Then the hearing process is not only pleasing to our ear, but also it purifies the heart. Harit Karna Rasayana Katha, and we get the taste. The more we hear Krishna Katha, the more we get the taste. And when we get the taste of hearing Krishna Katha, that's actually the symptoms that we are now getting clear from our material jaundice. Yeah, Rashayana Katha, Tajo Sarat Aswa Apawar Gawat Mani. And the gate for liberation is open. Sradha Ratir Bhaktir Anukramishati. So our faith increase, Sradha, Rati, attraction to Krishna increase, and Bhakti also develop. So that is clearly explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam as Srila Prabhupada quoted here in his purport. So hearing from whom to hear also very important. Of course, we should hear only from bona fide devotees, not in the association of mental speculators or academic scholars. Because the Bhagavad Gita is actually transcendental, is a spiritual philosophy that cannot be realized simply depending on the on our material brain. That's why we cannot understand Krishna unless we perform devotional service. Simply by reading books, one cannot understand Krishna. Just like very simple example, we cannot understand the taste of, let's say, mango, the taste of mango simply by reading book. Okay, simply by reading book, okay, the taste of mango, because here, for example, in India, we have many types of mangoes. Yeah, and then if we just read from the books, okay, this mango, the taste is like this, it's sweet but also a bit sour. This mango is much better, it's very, very sweet. But we know, we get the information that yes, the mango is sweet, but we don't realize it because we don't experience it directly. Yeah. The second verse will explain in details about realization. Susukam kartum avyayam. Simply by reading the book that performing devotional service will make us happy, or chanting Hare Krishna mantra will make us happy, but if we don't practice it, it's useless. If we don't practice, it's useless. It's just a theory. If we don't practice it, it's just speculation. Yeah, Prabhupada used to say, religion without philosophy is simply sentiment, and then philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So it should be balanced between reading and our practice. Yeah. Otherwise, we cannot realize how chanting make us happy, how performing devotional service make us happy. I remember when I still in Cambodia. So there was one bhakta. There's one bhakta, and I gave him service to clean the temple. And he was doing it every single day, and with a smile while chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And I asked him, are you really happy getting this kind of service, cleaning the temple? And he said, yes, Prabhu, I'm so happy. Because it is not that simply by becoming a great book distributor or a pujari or, scholar devotee, you can give lecture, one can be happy in Krishna consciousness. No. If we really put our whole heart in that service, any service to Krishna, Krishna will reciprocate. And there's no doubt, we will become happy. Okay. One second. Yeah, because this knowledge is a realized knowledge, as what Srila Prabhupada mentioned here. Now, this first verse has specific significance. The word idam jnanam, this knowledge, refer to pure devotional service, which consists of 9 different activities. Yeah, this is also described in the Srimad Bhagavatam by Prahlad Maharaj. And regarding anasuyave, this Sanskrit word, the Sanskrit word anasuyave in this verse is also very significant. Generally, the commentators, even if they are highly scholarly, are all enemies of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the most erudite scholars write on Bhagavad Gita very inaccurately because they are enemies of Krishna. Their commentaries are useless. You see, Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, their commentaries are useless. The commentaries given by devotees of the Lord are bona fide. Actually, this is the mood of Srila Prabhupada. We can see here that same thing as Srila Prabhupada writes in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. Please read again the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. I highly recommend. There, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that we have to be, actually he's expressing his mood of being loyal, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that the mood of hearing the Bhagavad Gita is should be just like Arjuna. Our mood of hearing Bhagavad Gita should be just like Arjuna. We accept Krishna's authority. One time Srila Prabhupada says that actually the verses itself of the Bhagavad Gita, they are actually very, very clear. I don't have to write the purport. But why I'm writing the purport? Because there are so many edition of the Bhagavad Gita with wrong commentaries, yeah, misleading commentaries. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada writes the purport to the Bhagavad Gita. If we see that in the Radha Damodar temple, Srila Prabhupada worked so much on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, translated and commented by Srila Prabhupada later on when Srila Prabhupada already in the West. Yeah. So we have to be faithful. And Srila Prabhupada's commentary is always referring to the previous acharyas. And to be more specific to the Bhagavad Gita, he is mostly referring to Baladev Vidyabhushan and also Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So that's about text number 1. The qualification is anasuyave, mentioned in this verse. So the 3 essential points from text number 1. The first one is that one becomes advanced in spiritual life by hearing about Krishna. Yeah, hearing is the foundation. Many times I mentioned in my lectures, in my classes, hearing is the foundation. Yeah, hearing about Krishna. Sasra dadana shavivardhamanam. And we have to hear with faith also. Sasra dadana. And one must be non-envious to hear properly. The proof of being non-envious is that we hear with faith. Sasra dadana shavivardhamanam. One becomes free from material miseries when he hears properly and cultivate devotional practice. You see, not only we are gaining philosophical knowledge, but also we have to cultivate our devotional practice. Sasradhanasya vivardhamana viraktim anyatra karoti purusha. Haripadanusmritini vritasha samasta dukkha yaya ashudate. So samasta dukkha means all miseries will be we will be relieved from all types of miseries. Samasta dukkha yaya ashudate. If we just hear with faith, hearing with faith means not simply hearing, but also practice what we hear. Yeah, that means faith. Hear attentively and then put into practice what we are hearing. Viraktim anyatra karoti putra. Virakti means we become detached from this material world because the process is purifying. So automatically we become detached. Viraktim anyatra karoti putra. Hari pada anusmriti nivritas. And we become attached to Krishna. Naturally, in the process of devotional service, we become detached to the material world by attaching ourselves to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Yeah, the Mayavadis, they try to be detached from the material world, but their attempt is actually failure because they don't attach themselves to Krishna. Nobody can become detached from the material world unless they attach to Krishna's lotus feet. Just like a child, Srila Prabhupada once mentioned that how to treat the children properly. Yeah, even Srila Prabhupada was very much concerned on child protection. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada says, never let the child cry. Immediately we have to pick him up. And if he holds something and you not agree that he's holding it, for example, the child holding knife, and of course that is very dangerous. And we as parents will not agree, don't snatch that. Otherwise the child will cry, Srila Prabhupada said. But you have to give something better. Put in another hand. Give him something better and immediately he will give up that. So similarly, how can we give up our material attachment unless we approach and catch Krishna's lotus feet very tightly? Hari pada anusmriti nivritasya. Then, if we become detached from the material world and attached at Krishna's lotus feet, automatically we become free from miseries. Why do we suffer in the material world? Because of our attachment. That's it. Because of our attachment, we suffer in the material world. For example, okay, most of us here are grihastas. For example, we're married and we have a wife. We have wives, right? And if somebody approach our wife and being close and talk very intimately, so due to our attachment with our wife, because we have connection, we feel sometimes jealous and we feel bad about it. We feel hurt, right? Because we have connection with our wife and we attach with our wife. When other man comes and just talk in the intimate way to our wife, so we become so much disturbed in our mind, and miseries come due to our disturbed mind. But if any other woman, okay, with us, just a friend or to whom we are not too attached, we don't have any attachment to that person, that woman, and if any man comes and approach her and talk in whatever way, we feel okay. Why? Because we are completely detached from that woman. But to our wives, we are too attached and we feel disturbed, we feel the suffering. Yeah. But to other women, because no attachment, no connection, whatever happened to her, we feel okay, right? So similarly like that, in this material world, due to our attachment, we are suffering. But if we detach from this material world, then no matter what happened, we don't feel the pangs of the material miseries. Like Haridas Thakur, he's completely detached from his body when he was being tortured by the Muslim ruler, yeah, by Chan Kazi. So he didn't feel any pains because he's absolutely completely detached from his material body. Like Prahlad Maharaj also, nobody can harm him. Of course, Krishna's protection is there. Yeah. So that's the point. Another example, very simple example. For example, we have a new car. That car is absolutely separated from us. But when somebody just scratch our new car, we feel the pain. Why we feel the pain? Because we have connection with that car, and because that's my car, we claim that that's my car, and that's actually the symptoms of our attachment. And if something happened to that new car, we feel it. Not the car, but we feel it. Yeah. But if we detach from the car, and in fact we are actually by nature detached from the car, uh, we are not the car. We are separated from the car eternally. But due to the uh, upadi, false designation, then we feel the suffering. Okay, I hope that's clear. So these 3 points is taken from Sailendra to me, Burijan Prabhu's book. I recommend you to read that books also, because there actually Burijan Prabhu, he quoted many commentaries from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Baladev Vidyabhushan. Okay, text number 2. Anybody would like to read this sloka? Would be very appreciated. You just unmute
राजगुह्या
yourself.
राजगुह्यं पवित्रम् इदमुत्तमं प्रत्यक्षावगमं धर्म्यं सुसुखं कर्तुमव्ययम्.
You can continue with the translation.
This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of this self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed.
You can continue a little bit more.
Generally, people are not educated in this confidential knowledge. They are educated in external knowledge. There are so many departments of knowledge all over the world and many huge universities. But there is, unfortunately, no university or educational institution where the science of the spirit soul is instructed. It is said that the execution of devotional service is so perfect that one can perceive the results directly. This direct result is actually perceived, and we have practical experience that any person who is chanting the holy names of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, in course of chanting without offenses, feels some transcendental pleasure and very quickly becomes purified of all material contamination. This is actually seen. Furthermore, if one engages not only in hearing, but in trying to broadcast the message of devotional activities as well, or if he engages himself in helping the missionary activities of Krishna consciousness, he gradually feels spiritual progress.
Thank you very much, Jugala Kishwara Prabhu. So what is your realization about this particular sloka, 9.2 Bhagavad Gita? Would you like to share?
As per this shloka, we can feel Krishna with us, not only by chanting. If we keep on spreading this movement by preaching or whatever activities uh, we have, so by that one we can feel Krishna always with us. We'll never leave Krishna. We'll always remember Krishna. We'll be in Krishna consciousness. Pratyaksha avakramam dharmyam. So we can feel.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That's very important. We can feel Krishna. We perceive Krishna. Yeah. Pratyaksha. Pratyaksha means we really feel it. Pratyaksha gamam dharmyam. Susukam kartumavyayam. We really feel happy. Yeah. Srila Prabhupada also mentioned about if we just offenselessly chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, then our time will be successful. Anybody who would like to share their realization on this verse? Anybody? I'm looking for one more devotee. Anybody? Let's hear from, I just call upon our new friend in this batch. from ISKCON Attapur. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Actually, my name is Shirodaka Sai Vishnudas.
Pardon?
Actually, my name is Shirodaka Sai Vishnudas.
Okay. Yeah, Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu Prabhu. Please share your realization about this sloka.
Actually, sorry, Prabhu. Actually, I'm completely not understand the English, but definitely I'm understanding English.
All right, no problem. You can mute yourself. Some background also, some little noise is there. What about our Mahamantra Prabhu? Long time didn't say anything. Whether he's there, Hare Krishna. This is one thing about the online course. Yeah. Sometimes devotees just joining and close the video and microphone, and that's it. Okay, never mind. Yes, so this is actually the overall theme of the chapter 9, this particular verse. Yeah, the Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam. The title of the chapter is taken from this verse. Yeah, Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam. Raja Guyam means the most confidential. Yeah, the king, Raja, king. Guhyam means confidential, secret, the king of secret, most confidential. Yeah. So come back again to the Pratyaksha. How do we understand? How do we feel Krishna? So Krishna can be perceived when we engage in devotional service. Krishna reciprocates. Yeah, Krishna reciprocates that. Ye yathamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manusya partha sarva. So as much as we perform devotional service, Krishna will reciprocate accordingly. Yeah. So to the degree of our surrendering, so to that degree also Krishna will give himself to us. Yeah. So there is mutual interaction here. It is not only me who is struggling, but Krishna also there struggling to reciprocate with us and give us happiness. Susukam, happiness, kartum avyayam. When we properly engage in devotional service, we'll feel happy. We will perceive Krishna just like when we eat. Yeah. Bhakti parishanubhavo viraktir anyatra traika eka kalaha anyatra trika eka kalaha prapadya manasya yatha prapadya how is that? Bhakti parishanubhavo viraktir anyatra chaisa trika eka kalaha. So just like we eat, so we feel tushti, pushti, kshudapayo, anugasam. Tushti means happiness, satisfaction. Tushti, pushti. Pushti means we become free from hunger. Why we eat? Because we are hungry. So first, we are happy just by seeing the food. We are happy. And when we eat, we become more happy. And then ksudapaya, we become relieved from hunger. Ksudapaya, nugasam. And then tushti, pushti. Pushti means we are nourished. We are nourished. The body get nourishment. So three things happen: happiness or satisfaction, the body get nourishment, and then detachment from hunger. We become free. We become free from hunger. So similarly, performing devotional service, bhakti, parishanu bhavo virakti. Bhakti, devotional service gives happiness. Parishanu bhava, we perceive Krishna. How do we perceive that we eat? By feeling. We get the feeling that we become energized. So similarly, Krishna also like that. We feel Krishna, parishanu bhava. And then virakti means detach from the material world. And Srila Prabhupada mentioned here also that the happiness can be further perceived in Krishna consciousness, not only by engaging ourselves, but also by preaching. Yeah, by preaching. So this is touching actually the mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada, the aspect of mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada, preaching, because ISKCON is actually meant to be an educational, a spiritual educational institution. Yeah, we educate people, we preach to people. All right, and then still in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, as will be seen in Bhagavad Gita, actual devotional service begins after liberation. After one is liberated, when one is situated in the Brahman position. This is explained in the 18th chapter, Brahma Bhuta Prashanatma verse. Once devotional service begins, Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labhati Param. Now I highlight this statement, actual devotional service begins after liberation, because many people are questioning that actually which one first, liberation first or devotional service first, or devotional service first and then liberation. So when Srila Prabhupada mentioned here devotional service, that means pure devotional service. So pure devotional service begins after liberation. Because if we see this statement, sometimes we feel discouraged while performing devotional service. Why? Because we think that, oh, I'm not at all liberation. I'm not at all liberated. That means my bhakti is actually not yet begin. But actually, if we analyze between liberation and bhakti, they are actually having some mutual connection. Okay. So in the beginning stage, we are not liberated. But if we have small inclination to perform bhakti, then gradually we are actually heading toward the gate of liberation. And then when we are liberated especially from avidya, as described by Srila Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, when we are free from avidya, that means we are liberated. So by the process of devotional service, we become free from avidya. And when we get free from the avidya, and then pure devotional service begins. So it's like cycle between liberation and bhakti. They are both are connected. I will not ask you to comment this. Okay, we continue text number 9. So text 1 and 2 talks about the qualification of hearing, and text number 3 is actually discussing the disqualification. Okay, what is the disqualification? Here it is, the red color. Asra dadana purusha dharma shasya parantapa apravyamam nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. Yeah, ashrada. Shraddha means faith, and asrada means no faith. So just like we approach a doctor, yeah, Srila Prabhupada gave the example in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. If we get sick, and then we go to a hospital and approach a doctor, and if we don't believe to the words of the doctor, because doctor is supposed to be very learned and very what is the word in English? Professional. Yeah, professional in that field. So when we approach doctor and doctor says that, okay, this is your symptoms and you have this disease, this is the medicine, take it, you will get cured. So if we don't have faith on that doctor, so we are rejecting his diagnosis and rejecting the medicine, then we will not get cured. So similarly, hearing from Krishna or hearing from Krishna's devotee, but if that hearing without faith, then it's just asar or useless. Yeah, it becomes useless. We have the saying in Indonesia, actually, when I still study in the school. if after the teacher explaining many times, still the student don't understand, the teacher will say, you are hearing from the right ear and it goes directly from the left one. So similarly, while hearing the Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, any Krishna Katha from the devotees, but if we don't have faith, so that's actually same thing. Hearing from the right ear and it goes directly from the left one. Just like, okay, this is a nice example also to make it easy, like bottle. Those who have faith, the lid of this bottle is open. But those who are ashraddha, the bottle is closed. So you cannot pour water inside this bottle if the lid is closed. This is ashraddha, no faith. Okay. But if you have faith, open it and then water will come. Similarly, if you have faith, you accept Krishna's statement and you will get the transcendental knowledge and realization. Srila Prabhupada explained the faithless cannot accomplish this process of devotional service. That is the purport of this verse. Faith is created by association with devotees. Yeah, satam prashangan mama virya samvido, that verse. Sraddha ratir bhakti. So sraddha, by devotees. Faith comes through the association. And when we associate more, faith will come. And then when faith is developed, we associate more to the devotees, with the devotees. So this is the mutual connection between faith and devotees association. Yeah, Sraddha, Sadhushanga. And then Bhajana Kriya, devotees will engage us, Anartha Nivriti, and our heart becomes purified. And ultimately, that 9 stages of devotional service, yeah, we will reach Prema Bhakti. Now, the development of that faith is the process of Krishna consciousness. There are 3 divisions of Krishna consciousness man. Here, Srila Prabhupada is talking about the Uttama, Madhyama, and Kanistha Adhikari. So the Kanistha, those who have no faith, even if they are officially engaged in devotional service, they cannot achieve the highest perfectional stage. Most probably, they will slip after some time. They may become engaged, but because they haven't complete conviction and faith, it is very difficult for them to continue in Krishna consciousness. What does it mean when Srila Prabhupada mentioned have no faith? Those who have no faith have no faith. And Prabhupada mentioned here that even if they are officially engaged in devotional service, sometimes we see this thing happen also, sometimes to us. Yeah. Archayam eva haraye pujam yashradhaye hate natad bhaktesu chanesu sabhakta prakritasya. This is Kanistha. Archayam eva haraye pujam yashradhaye. Those devotees who have faith only to the deities, to the Murti only. Pujam yashradhaye hate. They worship the deities with full faith. But natad bhaktesu chanesu. But if they don't have faith to the devotees, then sa bhakta prakritasmi. That devotee considered to be a kanistha, prakrita. So no faith means no faith disrespecting the devotees. Although one may engage in the worship of the Lord, just like the who's that? The brother of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Yeah. So when Nityananda Prabhu came to his village, Kaviraj Goswami's village, so his brother, paying no attention to Nityananda Prabhu, and Kaviraj Das Goswami, Srila Kaviraj Das Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, immediately left home. He felt ashamed, and he said that, oh, what a shame, what an offense. Anybody who have faith only to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but have no faith to Nityananda Prabhu, his life is doomed. So he left. So similarly, anybody who have faith only to Krishna but disrespecting the devotees, so he is considered to be a kanishta, prakrita bhakta. Okay. And then Madhyama, Prabhupada says, those who are not very advanced in understanding the devotional scripture, but who automatically have firm faith that Krishna Bhakti or service to Krishna is the best course, and so in good faith have taken it up. Thus, they are superior to the third class, who have neither perfect knowledge of the scriptures nor good faith, but by association and simplicity are trying to follow. So the Kanishta, they are not advanced in philosophy and they don't have faith. Easy for them to slip down, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned here. And Madhyama, sometimes the Madhyama Adhikari, they don't really conversant in scripture, but they have faith. They have faith and they continue devotional service. Yeah. And they cannot fall down. That's why Srila Prabhupada in many occasions mentioned that immediately one have to rise himself to the platform of Madhyama Adhikari. At least we should be a Madhyama. Don't remain Kanishta, because there is always a chance to fall down being a Kanishta. And then the Uttama, as far as the development of faith is concerned, one who is well versed in the scriptures of devotional service and has attained the stage of firm faith is called a first class person in Krishna consciousness. Okay, easy to analyze Srila Prabhupada's purport here. The Kanishta, no faith, no knowledge. The Madhyama, sometimes, okay, sometimes less knowledge but firm faith. And the Uttama is full of knowledge and full of faith. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So that was the first part of our discussion about the qualification and disqualification while hearing. So here is Srila Prabhupada's lecture to the text number 9 in Melbourne, 1976. If you go to a teacher to learn A, B, C, D, the teacher says, my dear child, you begin from the left side in this way. Yeah. We write normally in the left side, from the left to right. Then if the student says, why shall I begin in this way? I shall begin this way. Then he is faithless. He cannot make any progress. It is not possible. The first qualification is Shraddha, faithful. If you go to a teacher, you must be faithful. Otherwise, there's no need of going to a teacher. If you cannot believe in the word of somebody whom you are going to appoint as your teacher, if you have no faith in his words, then what is the use of going to such a teacher? There is no use. Okay. Similarly, like Arjuna, Sishyastiham sadimam tvam prapanam, Sishyastiham sadimam tvam prapanam. He says to Krishna that now I am tvam sadimam prapanam, a soul surrender to you, Sishyastiham, now I'm your disciple. Please instruct me. And toward the end, Arjuna says, Karishe vachanam tava. Now my doubt is gone. Karishe vachanam tava. Now I will follow whatever your instruction. So this is the mood actually, approaching a spiritual master or approaching Bhagavad Gita. Should be with faith while hearing. Ashradadana means no faith. This is the disqualification. But we have to have faith, firm faith to the words of the acharyas, to the word of the scriptures such as Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavad. All right. So that's the first part of our discussion today. We have 35 minutes more to cover the rest. Let's see how far we shall go. And then here, from text 4 to 10, Krishna's inconceivable relationship with the material world. Okay, this is touched already in chapter 7. I will just briefly touch on this point. Yeah. Krishna pervades, creates, and annihilates the entire cosmos through this material energy. Although Krishna is the supreme controller, the material world nevertheless moves independently, and Krishna thus remain neutral and detached. Text number 9. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagada vyaktamurtina matstani sarva bhutani nachaham teshu avastitaha. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Purport. Here it is said that although he is all pervading, everywhere present, he is not conceivable by material senses. This is indicated here by the word avyakta murtina. But actually, although we cannot see him, everything is resting in him, as we have discussed in the 7th chapter. Yeah, Krishna says, what is that verse? Mata parataram na anya kinchidasti dhananjaya mayi sarvamidam prodam sutre mani ganaiva. There is no truth spirit than Krishna. Everything rests upon him. Sutre mani ganaiva, just like the pearl strung on a thread. Here, Krishna mentioned avyakta murtina, means unmanifested form. What does it mean, unmanifested form? It's not Krishna indicating that he doesn't have form. No. Krishna just mentioning avyakta murtina, unmanifested form, unmanifest from our material eyes. That's what Krishna meant. Ata Sri Krishna navadi na bhavet grahyam indriyahi. Our material senses cannot perceive Krishna, cannot see Krishna. Our material eyes cannot see Krishna. That's why we need the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord. And in fact, that's non-different from Krishna. Prabhupada many times mentioned that in his classes that why do we need to worship the deities? Because our eyes, material eyes, can see only this earth, stone, wood, marble, metals. That's why we create that form, Krishna's form, using this material and invite Krishna to come to that form. And that form actually non-different from Krishna. Because we have limitation. But if we are a Paramahamsa who can see Krishna everywhere, there's no need to worship the deities, Prabhupada. But because we are imperfect, our senses cannot perceive Krishna. Therefore, we need to worship the deities. Okay, so we should not misunderstand this word avyakta murtina. Unmanifested form means Krishna cannot be perceived by our material senses. That's the meaning here. We cannot see Krishna directly. Therefore, he mentioned avyakta, unmanifested. Unmanifest doesn't mean that he is not exist. He is exist, but we cannot see him. A king heads a government which is but the manifestation of the king's energy. The different governmental departments are nothing but the energies of the king, and each department is resting on the king's power. But still, one cannot expect the king to be present in every department personally. So this is an analogy actually given by Srila Prabhupada, an example how Krishna maintained this material world without being involved directly. So he maintained the material world, he creates, maintains, and annihilates using his energy, using his Shakti. And his energy is non-different from Krishna. Yeah, because he is absolute, just like king. Of course, no one can be compared to Krishna, that's for sure. But just to make us easy, that's why Srila Prabhupada loves to give some analogies, example for us, just to make it easy to understand it. Yeah. So just like king, sometimes king cannot be present everywhere, but using his order, his power. So he asks some of his ministers or Senapati, for example, yeah, to rule over the kingdom. So Krishna also like that. But in the case of Krishna, actually, he expands himself into unlimited, and he resides in everything as the Paramatma, as the Paramatma. Sirodakasai Vishnu, Paramatma. Okay, Krishna is connected to the material world, yet he remained aloof. Goloka Evani Vasatya Kilatma Bhuto. He always in Goloka Vrindavan playing on his flute, enjoying the rasa, but at the same time, he also worked to maintain the material world. That's how he's inconceivable. If he's conceivable, that means he's limited. Because he's inconceivable, that's actually one of his glories. That's one of his glories, being inconceivable. We can try to understand Krishna up to some point, because Krishna is Vibhu, unlimited. How can we understand the greatness of the Lord using our tiny brain? It's not possible. Then how to understand that Krishna is great? By trying to understand him and fail to understand Krishna, that's the proof that he's so great. I hope my word is not bewildering. How to understand Krishna's greatness? By trying to understand him, and then when we experience, we cannot understand him fully. That's the proof that he's so great. Text number 5. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation. Yogam Aishwaryam, the word Yogam Aishwaryam is used here. Inconceivable mystic power. You see, Krishna mentioned here that everything is created by me, but Krishna is not directly part of this cosmic manifestation. He is using his Yogam Aishwaryam, inconceivable mystic power. The Lord says that everything is resting on him, Matsthani Sarva Bhutani. This should not be misunderstood. The Lord is not directly concerned with the maintenance and sustenance of this material manifestation. Prabhupada explained, if we build a house, we so much concerned on how to maintain that house, how to keep it always clean and not break the tap or not break the door, yeah, the windows, things like this. We always concerned. But Krishna is actually absolutely detached from his creation, yet he maintains it simultaneously without any anxiety, because he is expanding his energy to maintain the material creation. Sometimes we see a picture of Atlas holding a globe on his shoulders. He seems to be very tired holding this great earthly planet. Such an image should not be entertained in connection with Krishna's upholding this created universe. He says that although everything is resting on him, he is aloof. So when we say that Krishna is holding, holding these material universes, you see, actually, all universes are floating, and inside each universe, there are innumerable planets, and these planets are floating also. Then how it is possible floating? Because Krishna's energy is there. Krishna is holding each planet in its orbit, so it will not fall. You see, Krishna is remained there in Goloka Vrindavan, yet at the same time he's maintaining the universes here, millions of universes. Yet his energy is inexhaustible. But if we see, Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, just like Atlas is holding the globe with, fatigue, so much fatigue. But that does not apply in the case of the Lord. Yeah. Krishna is holding this universe and each planet inside the universe without any fatigue. Just like Krishna holding the Govardhan Hill for 7 days, 7 nights, using his left hand and the smallest finger, yeah, the little finger. No eating, no sleeping. Yeah, from that pastimes, many beautiful pastimes that are actually depicting Krishna's inconceivable energy, such as killing the many demons. Actually, that's actually depicting Krishna's unlimited potency. How can such a small boy kill gigantic Rakshasa? Unless you are God, you cannot do that. The Lord explains this fact, although He is the maintainer and sustainer of the entire material manifestation, He does not touch this material manifestation. Simply by His supreme will, everything is created, everything is sustained, everything is maintained, and everything is annihilated. Interesting. Srila Prabhupada explained, He maintained, but He doesn't touch. How He doesn't touch? Yes, of course He doesn't touch because He's there. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavita Stavirya Evani Jarupataya Kalabis Goloka Evani Vasatya Kilat Bhuto Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhaja. He's always in Goloka Vrindavan, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa, and enjoying rasa with his devotees in Goloka Vrindavan. That's why he's not directly touching the material universe. But all the function is going on. All the function is going on. Yeah. Creation, maintenance, annihilation taking place. Yeah, it's taking place. It doesn't touch this material. Simply by His supreme will. Prabhupada says, simply by His supreme will. Then we may ask question, Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya. What is the need of Krishna to come here to, vinasaya chadushkritam, to kill the demons? Simply by His will, just within a second, if He wants Hiranyakasipu to die, Hiranyakasipu will immediately die. Yeah. If He wants Ravana die, immediately Ravana will die. But Paritranaya sadhunam, to reciprocate with the sadhu, his devotees, for his pastime, for the sake of his pastime, He come here. Yeah. In the matter of Hiranyakasipu, He comes to fulfill Lord Brahma's word, Satyam Vidatum Nijavritti Bhashita, to fulfill Lord Brahma's word, because devotees are so dear to Krishna. And when pure devotees make a promise, so Krishna is actually in full anxiety. How this promise should remain truthful. Krishna's anxiety. Kwerat majau badam utyai vayadva tvayamo chitao bhakti bhajau kritau. The Srimad Bhagavatam, that pastime is described that there is no need for Krishna actually to deliver Manigriva and Nalakvara. They never perform devotional service. But Narad Muni says that don't worry, you will be liberated by Lord Krishna himself. Therefore, Krishna liberate Manigriva and Nalakvara. So just for the sake of his pastimes and to reciprocate with his devotees, that is his main concern. As far as his promise, his word is concerned, Krishna is actually carefree. Krishna says that he took a vow before the battle takes place in Kurukshetra. He took a vow that he will not raise any weapon. But when Bhishma Dev attacked Arjuna very severely, he took up the wheel. He wanted to kill Bhishma. He wanted to use that wheel as a weapon to kill Bhishma. So he very easily breaks his promise. Krishna says when he left Vrindavan, Krishna says to the gopi, don't worry, I will come. But he never returned. Even when he was in Mathura, he sent Uddhava to go to Vrindavan to bring his letter and telling the gopis that don't worry, I will come. Although he's lying, because he not very much serious if he makes promise, but when his devotees makes promise, he's very serious. But of course, the statement of Sarva Dharman Parityaja should not be doubted. Should not be doubted. Yeah, that promise Krishna will always fulfill. All right. Yogam Aishwaryam. Yeah. Then text number 6. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. Purport, although the wind is great, it is still situated within the sky. The wind is not beyond the sky. Similarly, all the wonderful cosmic manifestations are existing by the supreme will of God, and all of them are subordinate to that supreme will. As we generally say, not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You see, not a blade of grass. Everything is arranged by Krishna. Text number 7 and 8. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestation enter into my nature. That means entering into the body of Mahavishnu. And at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. The whole cosmic order is under me, under my will. It is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will, it is annihilated at the end. Yeah. How Krishna creates and annihilates? Simply by his will. Simply by his will. Yakaranarnava jale bhajati shmayoga nidramananda jagadanda saroma adara sakti bhagavamya param samuti govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajan. So saroma kupaha, from the whole of the hair of his body, that means from his pore, come out this perspiration in the form of millions of universes. Every time he exhale and inhale. Exile means he creates, inhale means he destroys, he annihilates. So these material universes are created and annihilated simply by his will. So everything by his will. Material energy, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explained material energy, or sometimes it is known as the Pradhan, comes into Mahatattva. The Mahatattva is the Pradhan, the ingredients of creation. And from this Mahatattva, so the Purusha incarnation appear, not appear, but the Purusha incarnation taking the role of doing the primary creation, the Sarga, yeah, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakasaya Vishnu, and Kshirodakasaya Vishnu. Srila Prabhupada explained the activities of the different species of living beings are begun from the very moment of the creation. It is not that all is involved. Sorry, it is not that all is evolved. Evolved means this evolution theory like Darwin's theory. No, but each individual already, this 8,400,000 species of life is already created since the beginning of creation. There's no as evolution theory. Yeah. If human comes from monkey, then why there are still so many monkeys in this world? And why those monkeys not transform into human? That's actually easy easy things to just defeat, easy philosophy to defeat. Darwin's theory is very easy to defeat. The different species of life are created immediately along with the universe. You see, 8,400,000. Man, animals, beasts, birds, everything is simultaneously created because whatever desires the living entities had at the last annihilation are again manifested. So that verse Yam Yam Vapishmaran Bhavan, which is described in the previous chapter, is applicable here. Yeah. So if we die thinking of something, for example, cat or dog or horse, so the world being annihilated, so we sleep in the body of Mahavishnu, and at the time of creation, so immediately we get the body of whatever we think, whatever we desire. Why there are 8,400,000 species of life? Because there are 8,400,000 desires. Yeah, so this is Darwin's theory, evolution. Human comes from monkey. This theory is actually wrong, absolutely wrong, easy to defeat. As I mentioned, if human comes from monkey, why still there are so many monkeys, and why not those monkeys transform into human? Hare Krishna. Text number 9. O Dhananjay, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. So Krishna using the word here as though neutral means he's not exactly neutral, although he looks like neutral. He looks like he doesn't care, right? Because he's not even involved personally, not touching personally. Yet at the same time, he cares, he maintains. Yeah. That's why Prabhupada translated very nicely here, as if, very significant, as if, or as though neutral. Neutral means you don't care. For example, there is a fight between two parties. Okay, I'm neutral. I'm not in that party, nor do I am in this party. But Krishna here mentioned as though neutral. That means, okay, I'm detached, but actually I'm still concerning. Udasinavat. Yeah, this is the word that Krishna used, udasinavat. The Lord is always neutral in the material activities of the created world. This neutrality is mentioned here with the word udashinavat, he was although he has control over every minor detail of material activities, he is sitting as if neutral, just like he's sitting in the form of Paramatma. Upadrashta cha Bharta Bhukta Maheshwara Paramat Meti Chap Yukto Dehesmin Purusha Para. Krishna is sitting as the Paramatma, right? He just sit there and look at us as if he's neutral, as if he doesn't care. But he's actually noting, making a note of what we are doing as a witness. Upadrasta, upadrasta. And then accordingly, he's Anumanta. He will sanction what is deserved for us. He will sanction. As if he's neutral. But yet he awards and punishes accordingly our activities. Interesting. Yeah, he's like a judge. Prabhupada give the example. The example can be given of a high court judge sitting on his bench. By his order, so many things are happening. Someone is being hanged, someone is being put into jail, someone is awarded a huge amount of wealth, but still he's neutral. He has nothing to do with all that gain and loss. Just like the judge. Well, of course, nowadays hardly we find a truthful judge. Sorry to say that. But a truthful judge doesn't feel sorry or happy when somebody is being punished or somebody is being rewarded. Yeah. Text number 10 of this part of discussion, the last verse of the second part of our discussion today. Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyati Sacharacharam Hetunanena Kaunteya Jagadvipari Vartate. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction. O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings, under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So Krishna mentioned here that this material nature, which is one of his energies. Okay, in general, Krishna has two energies, para prakriti and apara prakriti. Yeah, chapter 7. Para prakriti means the higher energy. Yeah, the internal potency. The higher energy is actually include the jiva. Maya, what is that? Jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam daryate jagat. Jiva bhutam mahabaho. That's para prakriti. And then the apara prakriti is the bhumi, apo, nalo, vayo, kamanu, buddhi, revacha. Ahankar ityami bina prakriti astad. So material world is the apara prakriti, and para prakriti is the spiritual. And if we analyze in detail, as many acharyas and Srila Prabhupada also explained, that if we analyze in detail, so Krishna has three energies. Yeah, the Antaranga Sakti, Tatastha Sakti, and Bahiranga Sakti. So Bahiranga Sakti is the material nature, material world, Bahiranga Sakti. That's external energy. And then the Tatastha Sakti is the living entities, the Jiva. Although originally Jiva belongs to the internal energy of the Lord, but because the Jiva get some independency, minute independency, therefore he can choose whether he wants to be in the material world or in the spiritual world. Tatastha. And the Antaranga Sakti is the internal potency of. So, but actually the Jiva belong to the Tatastha, because the Jivas are part and parcel of Krishna. Mama Ivamsa Jiva Loke. We have the same quality as Krishna. Yeah, Satchit Ananda Vigraha. But because this minute independency, that's why we are being situated in the border in between, because we can choose. We want to stay in the spiritual world or come down to the material world. Purport. So the Lord is not directly attached to this material creation. Prabhupada mentioned, not directly, means he's indirectly attached to this material creation. He simply glances over material nature. Material nature is thus activated and everything is created immediately. Because he glances over material nature, there is undoubtedly activity on the part of the Supreme Lord. But he has nothing to do with the manifestation of the material world directly. When there is a fragrant flower before someone, the fragrance is touched by the smelling power of the person, yet the smelling and the flower are detached from one another. So this is the example. In summary, material nature, so this is the conclusion of our discussion on this part. In summary, material nature without the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot do anything, yet the Supreme Personality is detached from all material activities. Okay. It is Krishna who has entered this material world, and he is supervising all the action and reaction of this material world. Therefore, it is moving Maya Dyakshena Prakriti. Prakriti has no power. These rascals, foolish person, they are thinking that the Prakriti is working automatically. No, that is not possible. Prakriti is Jada, Jada Prakriti without any sense. The motor car has got the wheels, the machine, everything, but it has no sense. So unless there is a sensible driver there, it cannot move. Very plain truth. Anyone can understand. Exactly. This morning I was listening to Prabhupada's lecture where he mentioned actually hinting this point about uh, the Prakriti. The Prakriti cannot move without the Jiva Bhuta Mahabaho Yayedam Dharyate Jagat. So the Jiva is actually manipulating the Prakriti in the sense of moving it, just like car. Prabhupada gave the example of car. This car is a complete whole, but without the operator, this car cannot move. So Prakriti is dead without the Jiva. This body also without the Jiva, it's simply a lump of a dead matter. Srila Prabhupada used that word, lump of a dead matter. Of course, nowadays we may have so many things, so many gadgets, which is automatic, so-called automatic machine, washing machine, for example, it's automatic. What does it mean, automatic? Still, although it is automatic, we have to moderate it. Without a moderator, that washing machine cannot work. Even though you just press one button, that means you are the moderator. All right. We cannot touch the third point of our discussion today. We'll continue next week on Monday. Yeah, same time. I thank you very much. We have only 3 minutes here. Whether any question or comment, you are welcome. Otherwise, I will stop here. Hare Krishna. All right. We'll stop here. I have another class at 8:15. Need some break. Thank you so much. Mancha kalpatarubhyascha. Kripa sindhu eva cha patitanam panebhyo